there's one migraine remedy that most people have never heard about that actually outperforms a vast majority of the common remedies you'll find online and the ones you have probably already tried. But for whatever reason, it's never reached widespread acknowledgement. The technology was developed over 30 years ago in Cambridge University, and it has been under the lens of scientific scrutiny in multiple peer-reviewed journals, and it has zero side effects. They're called migraine glasses. This particular pair is from Axon Optics, who is also the sponsor of this video, but more on them later. At this point, I'm sure doubt is the first thing that comes to mind. Glasses for migraine? It sounds a bit silly, but as silly as it sounds, these things have more scientific backing than most of the common remedies you've likely heard of. Let's do a deep dive into how these glasses work and if they'll be able to help you with your migraine. For some, light triggers a migraine, and for others, when a migraine strikes, light sensitivity usually comes with it. The reality is, light and migraine have a complicated relationship and they do not get along. Regardless, they both suck. But why? Why is light so problematic, and how do migraine glasses help? So I won't get too into the weeds of the science. However, I will have links to certain studies that I mention in the description of this video. It all started 30 years ago with this guy, Dr. Arnold Wilkins. At Cambridge University, Dr. Wilkins had some patients that were experiencing some pretty severe eye strain from fluorescent lights. He hypothesized that filtering out certain wavelengths might actually help. So he developed a special tint called FL41 and gave it to his patients. Surprisingly, while wearing the lens, most patients saw an impressive amount of relief. This included one girl that had virtually been driven mad by fluorescent lighting. She actually had to quit multiple jobs because the office lighting was just too harsh and it would trigger migraine and cause severe light sensitivity. But now, with the FL41 lens, she could sit in an office for hours without seeing any photophobic symptoms. That is pretty incredible. Fast forward 5 months. Enter neurophysiologist Dr. Peter Good. At the time, Dr. Good worked with a group of kids who suffered from migraine at Birmingham Hospital in England. After reading Dr. Wilkins' findings, Dr. Good had an epiphany. Could this new tint help those kids? He wanted to try. So he conducted an experiment of his own. He gave the kids 2 lenses, the FL41 lens and a separate regular blue tinted lens. The kids wore them for 4 months. The results were incredible. The FL41 lens reduced the kids' migraine frequency from 6.2 to 1.6 per month, which is a 74% decrease. Although these were groundbreaking findings, the study was published in a small journal, so hardly anybody took notice. Shortly after, though, word did start to spread to the field of neuro-ophthalmology. Between 1991 and 1998, 2 neuro-ophthalmologists from the University of Utah started using this tint on their patients that were suffering from migraine and light sensitivity. This included Dr. Kathleen Degree, who later on became the president of the American Headache Society in 2018, and Dr. Bradley Katz, who later on became a migraine and light sensitivity expert and the biggest contributor to the invention of migraine glasses. An overwhelming majority of the patients they gave the lens to saw impressive results. They knew that they were on to something big. After all this time, though, there is still one question that has yet to be answered. Why? Why is this tint working? At this point, doctors still don't know, but they'll soon figure it out. In 2002, everything changed. A research article was published that discovered a new type of cell in the eye. These cells were called iPRGC, and they happened to be very sensitive near the 480 wavelength, which was a specific type of blue light. After reading the paper, Dr. Katz had a realization. Maybe the 480 wavelength was the culprit, and the FL41 lens was actually filtering it out. This would explain why most people found relief. So, he put it to the test, and his theory was correct. The FL41 lens did in fact block the 480 wavelength. Bingo. This was definitely progress, but it wasn't enough evidence to convince his colleagues or the world. He needed more. Years later, Dr. Katz spent some time improving the design and the properties of the original FL41 tint. Then he conducted 2 studies using the improved FL41 tint on patients who were suffering from a condition called blepharospasm. While this may seem random, it was actually a strategic move. You see, blepharospasm and migraine are both a neurological condition that's usually accompanied by light sensitivity. However, migraine is hard to measure, but blepharospasm isn't. Since blepharospasm is characterized by an involuntary contraction of the eyelid muscles, doctors can measure blink frequency, duration, and force to determine if a treatment is working. These studies were a brilliant way to test how these lenses might help a neurological condition. In the studies, the patients were given 3 lenses: the improved FL41 lens made by Dr. Katz, regular gray tinted lens, and a regular rose tinted lens. And once again, the results were astonishing. A majority of the participants saw an improvement in their symptoms while wearing the FL41 lens, much more than wearing the other regular lenses. Fast forward a few years, in 2010, there was another groundbreaking discovery. Dr. Kathleen Degree and Dr. Rami Burstein from Harvard began conducting migraine-specific research. They confirmed that the recently discovered iPRGC cells were actually a cause of migraine. This was accomplished by showing that light caused pain and headaches in people that were blind. But Dr. Burstein didn't stop there though. In 2016, he also discovered that green light exposure also reduced light sensitivity and headache severity. More specifically, light between the 480 to 590 wavelength, which has a green hue. Okay, so let's recap. The 480 wavelength triggers migraine and light sensitivity. And then the wavelengths between 480 and 590 actually reduce migraine and light sensitivity. Now we have the formula to create the most effective migraine relief glasses, right? Filter the 480 wavelength, but let in the wavelengths between 480 and 590. Not so fast. There's one more piece of the puzzle. After some confusing results from a study that was using Dr. Katz's newly designed lenses, it appeared that there was a harmful wavelength that hadn't been considered yet. Dr. Katz was able to discover that the 490 wavelength, which is amber light, was also problematic. So based on all of the scientific evidence that we have currently, it seems like we've cracked the code for maximum migraine and light sensitivity relief using glasses. Block the 480 wavelength, which is blue light, block the 590 wavelength, which is amber light, and then let in as much of the wavelengths between 480 and 590, which is green light. And this brings us back to these Axon Optics migraine glasses. These glasses do all of that. In fact, they were actually created by Dr. Katz himself. He is the founder of Axon Optics. Here's the thing, most competitors will just block blue light, which isn't enough. Additionally, other alternatives like sunglasses block all light, which reduces the positive effects of green light exposure, and it can cause dark adaptation, which can actually make your light sensitivity worse over time. Axon Optics is the only provider that checks all of those boxes for maximum migraine relief. Still not convinced? There's one last piece of evidence that seals the deal on the effectiveness of these glasses, and the data took over 10 years to gather. You see, most competitors use plain old online reviews to demonstrate how effective their glasses are, but Axon Optics took it a step further. After customers purchased these glasses, Dr. Katz gave them a clinically validated survey. The survey is called HIT6, which in 2011 was considered to be a reliable tool for measuring the impact of migraine treatments. Now it's the test that most clinicians and researchers use when studying the effectiveness of certain migraine treatments. Since the survey is long and it needs to be done before and after, it took Dr. Katz over 10 years to get enough data from his customers. Over 1,000 people completed the survey, and the results are in. 85% saw a reduction in the impact of their light sensitivity and headaches. And on average, people saw a 33% reduction in the number of headache days every month. Look, are these glasses a miracle cure? No. But have they helped a lot of people with their migraine and light sensitivity? Absolutely. Around the time of this recording, they've helped over 30,000 people. And the cool part is, Axon realizes that these glasses won't help everybody. That's why they offer a 60-day trial run, where you can actually return the glasses if they don't work and get 100% of your money back. Look, migraine and light sensitivity can be absolutely debilitating. So if these glasses might help ease your symptoms, I think they're worth a try. And Axon has made it as easy and as risk-free as possible. Worried they won't work? Well, return them and get your money back. Worried that they'll break? They have a 1-year warranty. Too expensive? They have a payment plan. Already have a prescription? They'll make a custom lens for you. Picky about frames? They have dozens of style options. Hate glasses? They have contact lenses. Outside a lot? They have indoor, outdoor, and transition lenses. Click on the link in the description to learn more. And if you enjoy content like this, please consider subscribing.